All right, guys. So BlackBerry is at it again. Um, so BlackBerry, obviously, we all know that they teamed up with Alcatel because this is basically an Alcatel device with BlackBerry on it. So that's not a good or a bad thing. But I want to go over some of these specs here because it'll make you kind of question what is BlackBerry doing, and why did they bring this device. I think the issue. Let me just start by saying immediately. The issue with BlackBerry is they released the phones at the wrong price. This phone, to me, in my personal opinion, and I'm sure some of you might agree, that it should really start off at about $199 or so. No higher than $199. The reason being is because we can grab phones like the Moto G and the J7 and all these other phones out there that perform great and they're actually really good. Now, we don't have this in hand yet, but basically if you have an Alcatel One Touch Idol 3, you pretty much have this phone. Listen to these specs. They are good. They're good. It's got the dual speakers. It's got the dual microphones. We all know that this is basically an Alcatel One Touch Idol 3, just rebranded as a BlackBerry with their guts put in a new back. It does look good. I'll give it to them. It's got the grippy back. But it's called the DTek50. It's got a 5.2-inch display, 1080p, which is good. It runs Android 6.0. We knew that would happen. It has a Snapdragon 617 in here. And this is important because it runs the Adreno 405. So that means we're looking for the same kind of performance, if not better. But here's where this phone differs, and it's kind of a mixed bag to me. It's got 3 gigs of RAM, but it's got 16 gigs of onboard storage. Now, of that 16 gigs, and it has an SD card. Oh, that's great. But of that 16 gigs, you're probably only going to get between 9 and 10, maybe 10. So check that off as somewhat of a huge failure. Should have been 32 because they gave it 3 gigs of RAM. So it's going to perform pretty well. It's got 424 pixels per inch for the techies out there. It's got a 13 megapixel camera, 8 on the front, and it's got phase detection, autofocus, fast focus lock. It's saying NFC. It's got the things that we want, but it's got a 5 gigahertz band too. But it's a mixed bag for it has 16 gigs of storage. It's $300. It's got 3 gigs of RAM. It's an Alcatel One Touch Idol 3 with a new back and new internals, pretty much adding the BlackBerry touch to it. Is it a bad idea? No, it's a fantastic idea. It's a great idea. However, that price point, didn't they learn anything from the slider BlackBerry? I don't think I think they're going about it wrong. The slider BlackBerry was a bomb. It blew up, and people didn't really buy it. The fire sale started immediately. You could find that phone unlocked for $299 everywhere at one point or another, and right now it's hovering around $349. And a lot of places don't want to sell it. Carriers don't want to sell it. They've lost on their investments, and I don't blame them. BlackBerry is just doing it wrong with their pricing. I'd actually buy this phone if it were $199, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait for it to drop to $199. First, they'll probably try to do $249. Then eventually they'll realize, wait, this phone isn't selling. We better drop this to $199 for a few days or 1 day or 2 days and see how many we can get out of here. Because it probably didn't cost them a lot to make this phone. However, it looks beautiful. I can't lie and say it's an ugly device. It's not. I love the back of it. I love the dual speakers. I love the dual microphones. It's pretty much just an Idol 3 with a different size screen, a 5.2-inch screen. And it's beautiful. It looks great, but I wouldn't pay $300 for this. This is an issue. It releases in just a few weeks. I mean, that's fantastic. It starts to ship on the 8th of August. That's great. That's great. You actually get it says there's a BlackBerry mobile power charger that's 12,600 milliamps. I guess that's included. Yeah, I'm looking at their site and you get a 12,000 milliamp hour battery included, it looks like. And you get two USB ports, That's actually going to be really, really nice that they're including some things. However, it's kind of a I don't know the reasoning or behind their pricing. Seeing as though I purchase a lot of phones, and I'm not an expert on pricing, but would you pay $300 for this BlackBerry? It's basically a non-slider BlackBerry. It's an Alcatel One Touch Idol 3 with BlackBerry on it, the BlackBerry Android combo on it. We all knew this conversation was going to come because we were kind of waiting on BlackBerry to do something. Now, I told you before they have 3 devices coming. This is probably going to be their entry device, and this price. Now they're giving you this 12,600 milliamp hour battery pack, but that's fantastic. But what if a person just wanted to buy the phone? They're saying that's free, but there's always some kind of integration. BlackBerry has done a fantastic job over the years. Back then, when BlackBerry was at the top spot, but now they did it wrong with the Passport. They priced it too high. It had a fire sale. It dropped down. The Classic was a bomb. I mean, the Classic is probably a great phone, and I have one in-house that I've been using. I'll talk about that in another video, in the wake of trying to get me another silver edition. But this phone could be very successful because they're trying to compete in the BlackBerry market. They're not winning any fans over with this phone. However, what they are doing is they're trying to compete. They're really competing in the Android market. And this, in the Android market, is a no-go. I would not get this over the Moto G4. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't get it over the J7. I wouldn't do it. There's no way. There's just no, it's too close to the OnePlus 3's price. It's too close to the Axon 7's price. It's too close to a lot of phones where I'm getting a ton more and more performance. And I feel like I'm getting more bang for my buck. Top this off at $249 with the power pack. Top it off at that point. Because, quote me on video, this is not going to sell very well at $300 because it's an Android phone. And there's plenty of other Android phones that cost a heck of a lot less, or they cost the same and they're offering more. It's too close because, quote unquote, flagships now are getting very affordable. You're getting a lot for your money. A lot. There's just a lot of going on with this phone right here. Again, the 3 gigs of RAM, with 16 gigs onboard storage. I don't understand that. They might as well just went with 2 gigs of RAM. But they're doing that obviously to get better performance. I appreciate the 3 gigs of RAM, but I don't appreciate the 16 gigs of onboard storage. If this had 32 gigs or 64 gigs in there, I might consider a price of $269 being fair. Reason being is it has an SD card and it probably doesn't have adaptable storage. So then I can't take my 200 gig card and put it in here and join it to the phone and give myself a 220 gig BlackBerry. Can't do it. So the mixed bag here, it says, oh, it takes up to a 2 terabyte card. There's no 2 terabyte cards. Just go ahead and say 256 because that's the top right now that you can actually purchase. The cameras, I'm curious to see how the cameras will be. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very intrigued by this device, but I won't have it until the price goes down. It's at this point, you can't look you can't always look at the price of a phone and determine the value of it. But based on what I have in my catalog now, I just wouldn't recommend going out buying this phone at $300. I wouldn't do it. And I wouldn't recommend that you do it. Even if you're not a techie, those are the people that probably should be. I hope you're checking out this video and you just stumbled across and like, ooh, I wanted to get this BlackBerry. There are many more options for you to go with than you can just go get an Alcatel One Touch Idol 3. You can get that for $149 right now, half the cost of this, and you're pretty much getting the same performance. You're pretty much getting the same thing. You can, an end user probably doesn't know how to do it, but a techie could take this BlackBerry overlay and drop it on their phone. We all did it when the files leaked. And they're out there and they're still going to work. But you can grab an Alcatel One Touch Idol 3 and get the same thing. You can find that phone for $149. So why would I get this for $300? Because it has a power pack with it? because it has a different back on it. It's got a BlackBerry logo. I don't know. What do you guys think about this new BlackBerry that leaked out and then immediately went official? What do you guys think is, you think this is a good move from BlackBerry? Do you think it's another mistake? Do you think the pricing is fair? Shout out in the comments. It's your man Jay Will. I appreciate the support, and join me live on today, which is the 26th, I believe it is. No, yeah, 26th. Today is Tuesday, 26th. We'll have a special live broadcast. G4, the G4 panel will be put together today, and we're going to be meeting at 5:30 Central Standard Time. So slot that away for us, and we're going to talk about the G4 in detail later today. So it's your man Jay Will. This is the new BlackBerry DTek50. What do you guys think about it? Will you be purchasing? Are you pre-ordering? Pre-orders are live right now. So what's the move? BlackBerry or no BlackBerry? Peace.